Describe the scenic lake community where the protagonist has recently purchased a property. Protagonist. Introduce the main character, their background, and their reasons for investing in the property. First encounter. Describe the protagonist's first meeting with Karen, an outspoken HOA member who immediately tries to recruit them. Karen's attitude. Highlight Karen's overbearing nature and her insistence on community rules. Declining membership. The protagonist politely refuses to join the HOA, valuing their independence and the freedom to make their own choices. Karen's reaction. Karen's frustration grows, leading to a tense exchange. Karen's threats. Karen threatens to make the protagonist's life difficult within the community. Community pressure. Other residents react to the refusal, some supporting the protagonist, while others side with Karen. Cops arrive. Karen calls the police, claiming the protagonist is violating HOA rules, which don't apply to them. Protagonist's surprise. The protagonist is bewildered by the call, realizing Karen is overstepping her bounds. Identity uncovered. The protagonist reveals they are Karen's landlord, having purchased the property she lives in. Karen's shock. Karen's face falls as the power dynamics shift dramatically. Confronting Karen. A heated confrontation ensues, with the protagonist asserting their rights as the homeowner and landlord. Community dynamics shift. Other residents start to see Karen in a new light, questioning her authority, ending the hostility. The protagonist decides to take a stand against the HOA's unreasonable demands. Community support. Neighbors rally around the protagonist, leading to a new understanding of community values. Reflection. The protagonist reflects on the importance of standing up for oneself and the unexpected twists of life. Future outlook. The protagonist looks forward to enjoying their new home, free from oppressive HOA rules. The sun rose gently over Lake Willow, casting a warm glow on the tranquil waters and the charming homes that dotted its shores. Sarah had finally realized her dream of owning a lakeside property, trading the hustle and bustle of city life for the serene beauty of this community. She envisioned lazy afternoons by the water, fishing trips, and quiet evenings under the stars. However, her idyllic escape was soon interrupted by a knock at her door. When she opened it, she was met by a woman with a tight bun, bold sunglasses, and an air of authority that made Sarah's heart sink. "I'm Karen, the head of the Lake Willow Homeowners Association," the woman declared, handing over a pamphlet with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We'd love for you to join our HOA. It's essential for maintaining the community standards." Sarah, feeling a mix of amusement and annoyance, politely declined. "Thank you, but I prefer to manage my property without HOA restrictions," she replied, hoping to end the conversation. Karen's smile faded, replaced by a hard glare. "You'll regret this," she warned, storming off as Sarah closed the door, shaking her head. Little did Sarah know, this was just the beginning of a clash that would unveil hidden truths and challenge the very notion of community and authority. The U-Haul was gone. The keys were in my pocket, and the view from my new lakeside home was, once again, perfect. I was settling into Willow Creek Manor, a secluded, slightly older development known for its large lots and quiet atmosphere. I bought the place because it felt private, a true escape. My peace lasted until the afternoon when a black SUV, the kind that screams suburban power trip, pulled silently up my driveway. Out stepped Carol, the very person the closing lawyer had warned me about, the reigning queen of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. She was dressed in blinding white linen, clutching a laminated document like a weapon. "Mr. Davies, I assume?" she asked, skipping any pleasantries. Her voice was brittle, designed to intimidate. "Leo Davies," I confirmed, leaning against the doorframe. "And you must be Carol. Didn't realize the welcome wagon included a formal summons." Carol bristled. "This isn't a welcome, Mr. Davies. This is a mandatory orientation. You purchased Lot 12, which borders the common amenity area. You are aware that the association maintains the lake, the boat launch, and the walking trails." "I am aware," I said, nodding. "I read the preliminary disclosures." Then you should be aware that membership in the Willow Creek HOA is mandatory for all property owners within the established perimeter, she declared, tapping the document. You've been receiving notices for the past 2 weeks, which you've ignored. Today, you will sign the final agreement. Pay the outstanding prorated dues and accept the governing CC&Rs. We cannot have rogue owners in Willow Creek. I crossed my arms, letting a small, slow smile spread across my face. Carol, I appreciate you coming out, but I won't be joining your club. Her perfectly sculpted eyebrows shot up. Excuse me? That is not an option. It's in the paperwork. The paperwork you signed when you purchased your adjacent property years ago, yes. I'm sure it's all very binding for you, I countered. But you seem to have forgotten a crucial detail about Lot 12. Carol's composure was beginning to crack. And what detail is that? The detail is this. I am your landlord. The air in the driveway seemed to thicken instantly. Carol looked genuinely stunned, glancing behind her as if checking if a hidden camera crew was filming a prank. That's absurd. I own my home outright, she snapped. I'm sure you do, I agreed cheerfully. But you don't own the structure you're currently living in. You're leasing it. I walked over to my truck bed, pulled out a thin, blue folder marked Rental Lease Agreement, Willow Creek Properties. When I bought this massive parcel, Lot 12, I also acquired the previous owner's entire investment portfolio on this street. That portfolio includes the house on Lot 14, the one you live in. Carol, I opened the folder to a specific, highlighted paragraph. This lease agreement, renewed last year, stipulates full adherence to the owner's specific rules, which supersede any general community HOA bylaw concerning dues or mandatory membership. My terms state clearly, tenant must vacate Lot 14 upon any documented harassment of the Lot 12 owner, or forfeit the right to renew the lease. Carol's face went from flushed indignation to a sickly pale. She had built her entire reign on the power of the HOA, completely forgetting that the person who held the keys to her actual roof was now her neighbor. You can't do this, she stammered. I pay my mortgage. I've served the community for a decade. And I admire your community spirit, Carol, truly, I said, folding the folder back up. But my terms are simple. I'm not joining the HOA. I control my land. And since you're my tenant, you will ensure that the HOA leaves me entirely alone. No more mandatory orientations. No more CC&R demands. She pointed an accusing finger at me, the classic HOA Karen reaching her breaking point. I'm calling the police. This is harassment. I'll call the city zoning commission. I'll have you fined for everything from your lawn height to your mailbox. I tipped my head slightly. Please do. Call them. Have them come out. When the police arrive, I'll simply show them my property deed for Lot 12 and then the certified lease agreement for Lot 14, which states you're required to be pleasant to your landlord. I suspect the officers will be far more interested in why the owner of Lot 14 is threatening the owner of Lot 12. I looked past her, towards the street where the road ended, and while you wait for the city, perhaps you could call a moving company. Because I'm not renewing that lease, Carol, I bought this place for peace and quiet, and frankly, you and your laminated rules are disturbing the property value. Carol stood frozen for a long moment, the laminated document slipping from her white-gloved fingers and drifting onto the grass. She had been so focused on dictating the lives of her neighbors, she forgot that the biggest power in the neighborhood belonged to the person who could legally tell her to pack up and leave. She got back into her black SUV, turned around with a screech of tires that was entirely unprofessional, and sped out of my driveway. I bent down, picked up her discarded HOA document, smoothed it out, and placed it neatly on my porch railing, a souvenir. Then I walked inside, finally ready to enjoy the quiet that came with knowing exactly whose land everyone else was standing on.